What's up, everybody, and welcome to Buy West 3 Raw TV. On my Instagram lives, which I actually do maybe 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week, usually when heading in to go train my clients in Maryland, I feel like if I'm going to be in the car for an hour or whatever, it's wasted time, right? I don't want to turn the radio on and sing along to the radio. Like, I don't need to do that shit, right? So I try to be productive with everything that I'm doing. Like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I literally have my phone in bed and I'm answering emails right away. So if you get an email from me at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm in bed doing the email. So if the spelling's even worse than usual, it's because I'm like usually like this, like with one eye trying to fucking answer shit because I just want to get a move on in the day. And, you know, I got a very loyal and cool group of people that show up pretty much every day to listen to what I have to say and interact live with me, which I love doing. I've done a few of the YouTube lives, but and some of the same people too. And they popped up in here yesterday and today, said, "Hey man, did you hear Cali Muscle downsizing, right?" I don't fucking know. Like, I really haven't had a lot of time to watch this shit. So I'm like, you know what? But if you guys are saying it, let me go see what the fuck is going on. It's like, I honestly, my first thought was it's probably for like a movie role or, excuse me, a commercial. He's been in a bunch of commercials and shit. He was the bodybuilder. It was like, you know, it was like, how good is Geico? It's as good as a bodybuilder directing traffic or some shit like that or whatever it was. And, you know, the protein commercial for Taco Bell where they're drinking protein on the beach and shit. And so I start watching it and he starts actually telling people flat out. He said, you know, here's the deal. Like, I was never about being the biggest guy. You just try to be better and improve, right? And you get to a point where you're probably pretty much not improving anymore. You're just kind of staying right there. And then you're as big as you can be. And, you know, it's cool for a while, man. Don't get me wrong. I loved being like 270 pounds at fucking 5'8" 3/4. I thought it was like the coolest thing when I was younger. And I didn't feel bad. I felt okay. Like, I had to eat a ton of food. That was fun. Like, everything was like, you know, it was cool about it. And then in the video, Callie actually mentioned he's getting up there in age, right? And I don't even know how old he is. I'm 42. I don't know how old Kelly is. And this is not a drama video. This is not a bash for none of that stuff. But I understood exactly what he was saying, you know, because a few years ago, I had the same thing happen. I was literally about 240, 245. I tore my rotator cuff. I realized that my body just couldn't take what I was trying to make it do anymore. Like, I didn't feel good anymore. I mean, something was changing inside of me, and it happens to all of us that get a little bit older. Well, some of us stay a little immature and we try to hold on to our youth, right? Like, you know, instead of shaving your head, you get the fucking 3 hairs and you're like combing it every way you can to try to make it look right. Or, you know, like you're trying to like, you know, stay big because insecurity wise, you feel like if you shrink up, nobody's going to want to pay attention to you anymore, right? And, you know, CT Fletcher, obviously with his health complications, he is downsized. Jay Cutler, even though he's huge, he's downsized. Ronnie Coleman is downsized. Who else? Rich Piano was actually downsizing when he passed away. When I saw him in July at Super League, he was actually like 265 or something like that. And you were like, damn, he looks healthier, like streamlined, right? But you still get it in your head that people are not going to like you or pay attention to you or even give a fuck about you unless you weigh a certain amount or you're bigger than you were last week. And it fucks with your head, right? And living for other people, sometimes you make the wrong decisions. Now, as Callie's starting to downsize, he says he wants to have a family, etc. He wants to be healthy. Like, that's what he wants. So he's at that point in his life right now where it's like, it's not about being the biggest person. It's not about having fucking high blood pressure at the roof or bench pressing or any of that shit. Bench pressing, you like that one. But it is about feeling better. And I don't know what it is about getting older, not old, but older, but you don't feel that good being that big anymore, right? So in 2014, I decided that it was my time to downsize because I was just going to be carrying more fat. I didn't feel good. And I did downsize. And then when I went to do the T2G series last year, which was after, or not last year, the year before my father passed away, I got back to 230 in like a month. And I felt terrible. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I like the way I look. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm really not any fatter. I feel fucking big. You know, people starting to notice, wow, Jerry, you're getting big again. And they compliment you and shit. And you're like, oh yeah, people are noticing. And it strokes your ego a little bit, right? And then you notice I really don't feel good. Like, I'm having a hard time breathing. I feel like anxious all the time. Like, I feel like my fucking, you can feel the blood pressure going up. I don't know how to explain it to you. When my blood pressure is super high and I look at something and kind of just focus on something, I can see my pulse in my eyes. Like, you can boom, 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 boom. Like, I'm like, fuck. Like, you know, you're doing something it's bad, right? And, you know, I mean, Callie's just the latest one. There's been quite a few people that have downsized in the last, I don't know, couple years. But, it's hard, guys. You know, it's hard. And some of you may be at that transitional period in your life right now where you're like, I don't really want to do that because I'm not comfortable doing it. And you think it's all about the gains and all about this shit. Now, 100% true story. And this has literally happened at the LA Fit Expo this year. So CT Fletcher's daughter I talk to all the time. And, you know, when I go to the events, I make sure I stop and see her. I make sure I stop and see him no matter where I'm at. So like when we were in Australia, I made sure I go see him there. Like him and Piana, I would always stop and see them. But they can't get away from the booth, so you have to go see them. But I made sure I stopped and saw them because they were always supportive of me, nice to me, happy, genuinely happy to see me. So I always stop. And CT, of course, with his health complications, hadn't been traveling. So he was at the LA Fit Expo because they were local. And I said, fuck it, CT's here. Let me go see him. So I walk over there, and he's got a huge fucking line like around the whole place, right? And he goes, Jerry, oh! And he does his whole spiel, right? And I walk up, and he says, come here, man. And he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he pulls me over the side, like close, and he says, see all those people? And he points. He says, see all those people? I said, yeah, man. And he goes, there's not a muscle left on my body. Because now he had the heart attack and he was downsizing. He goes, and I didn't think anybody would show up to see me today. He goes, but there they all are. He goes, I think there's more than usual. And I looked at him and I said, it's because it's still your motherfucking set. Like I jokingly, like because it's still his motherfucking set. But I said, it's because nobody fucking cares. Nobody gives a fuck if there's an ounce of muscle on us, honestly. Like, that may have been what attracted people to CT, Rich Piana, me, Cali Muscle, whoever the fuck else. I'm naming people on YouTube. I'm not grouping myself in with these guys who are fucking icons. But people that are on YouTube, the first thing that attracts them to us is the way that we're physically built. And then over time, what happens is you build up this following and people don't really see the muscle anymore. Only new viewers that find you see the muscle or don't see the muscle. Your followers and viewers who really get to know you, and through YouTube, you really do get to know people. They either appreciate you or don't appreciate you, or they can relate or they can't relate, or whatever the case may be, but it really doesn't have to do with the muscle anymore. You know what I mean? So downsizing, it was no surprise to me that CT's people were all still there to see him. You know, like when I was going to the expos, when I was bigger, I was with, doing expos with Isatori and 5%. And I downsized in 2014 when I tore my rotator cuff and never went really back to those weights again. My following kept getting bigger. It didn't really matter because people were listening to the things I said. They were watching the things that I do. They're more interested in who you are as a person after that initial thing. But here's what happens. After you build that initial following, like people start talking, right? And then what happens is new people start coming on with the way you look now, but other people still finding those videos that you've had up for 3 or 4 years when you were big. So those videos are still capturing their attention and they go, fuck, I like what this guy has to say. A CT Fletcher curling the weights on flames. They're like, holy fuck. And then they see the one of him now and they're like, oh, that's the same guy. Cool. Like they don't even really care because they're initially drawn to that bigger, jacked up, crazy motherfucker. But they also understand that like you're not like that all the time. Like you're changing, you're getting older, you're evolving. Like people understand that. Like fans, followers, viewers, whatever the fuck you want to call them, are not dumb. Okay? You guys are not fucking stupid. You understand because you guys go through the same shit that we go through. And I'll tell you right now, I'm actually not just impressed with Cali by downsizing, but I'm actually very proud of him that he's doing it because, it is hard and it gets stuck in your head that you have to be Cali Muscle, that guy that weighs a certain amount or looks a certain way or whatever. And now he's like, well, this is a new me, right? This is a new me. This is what I'm doing. And he was like, I have to do it for me. So he's not living for other people, their opinions, or what they think of him. He's living for himself. Okay, he's evolving for himself to be better in general, that what he feels is better for him. Now, with everybody out there that has stood the test of time and had longevity in anything, they have evolved, okay? I like to usually take people or bands like Metallica or like even Madonna, right? Just icons, they adapted over time and evolved, and they're nowhere near what they were when they first started their careers, right? Bruce Lee started in Wing Chun, ended up in Jeet Kune Do before he passed. Completely different. Like they evolve into something new, and the people that really understand it and care about you and want to follow continue to follow, and it kind of just snowballs into something that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then in the end, you're something totally different, although you're the same person than you were before. But it's great to look back through the years and see the Cali Muscle videos of him changing. See the Rich Piana videos of where, he didn't have his hands tattooed, then he did. And he had this haircut, like whatever, to look at the way people change and they improve and they evolve and stuff like that. People that don't change, don't improve, and don't evolve disappear. Okay, they try to do the same thing over and over again, and you cannot be the same for the rest of your life. And what happens is they wind up just fucking dropping out because they don't know what the fuck is going on. They don't even know who they are anymore because you can't be the same person for the rest of your life. You're going to be different every year of your life, every 6 months, every 2 weeks, every 10 years. You're going to be a different person than you were the previous 10 years. Like that's normal. That's real. That's what life is all about. That's what being a human being is all about, becoming a better version of yourself. And a better version of yourself doesn't mean bigger. You know what I mean? As you get older, it definitely doesn't mean bigger, but it means better. Better is better. It's not necessarily bigger. This is fucking sounds like I'm talking in circles here, but bottom line is, guys, I watched the video. Callie, and he said why he did it, which I don't think he really had to come out and defend himself. That's not what he was doing, but he was giving an explanation because I don't think people understood, it's a drastic jump from what he looked like then to now. And I don't think people understood, well, what happened in between. Like, in a day and age where so many people are unhealthy with kidney problems, kidney transplants, heart transplants like CT, heart attacks like Dallas McCarver and Rich Piana, everybody wants to know, is he okay? So I look at the video as not like him explaining himself like he has to tell people like a responsibility to tell them every single move he makes. I look at it as he's telling them, I'm okay. Like, I'm doing this on purpose. It's for me. These are the reasons why I'm not sick, right? Which I think, it clears it up for a lot of people. So I feel in the future, you'll see more people downsizing as they start to evolve into something else and they let go of that insecurity of having to be big and realizing that people are not going to walk away from you because, I'll be totally honest with you right now. Like, one of the things that I really like about what I'm involved in is everybody that knows me or is involved with me or whatever, it's not because I'm a pro bodybuilder. It's not because I'm making them money. It's not because it's just because I'm myself. And when you can just be yourself, like Callie's just being himself, that's the most powerful thing that's out there, right? Just being yourself on a day-to-day basis and showing the new you and not being scared or embarrassed or holding back and just being you and showing the world that, hey, it's okay just to be you. Because if we're all each just ourselves, how fucking amazing is that to have a world full of people that are different, right? That we can all learn from and interact with and get along with rather than have everybody being the same, right? Don't be sheep people. Be that fucking wolf. Go out there. Be the lone wolf if you have to be on your own, fucking doing your own thing. But bottom line is, don't bend and conform to what other people think. Don't fucking do things based on what other people's opinions are. Your life is yours. You have a personal responsibility to be the best you can. And if anybody doesn't like it, they can get fucked. BibleStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.bibleStreetTraining.com is the blog. It's like Callie. I forgot who I was talking about. Callie Muscle Bicep, and we are out.